Okay, let's dive right in. We've got this fascinating stack of source material today, and it sets up what sounds like, well, maybe the weirdest trivia question ever.
It does feel a bit like that.
What connects advanced AI, the metal blockchain infrastructure, and Taylor Swift?
Yeah, it sounds completely random, doesn't it? Tech, finance, pop culture, like how do those even fit together?
Exactly. But the sources we looked at, they're pretty insistent. They argue that these three very different fields are actually running on the same core principles for growth and value.
Right. And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
To figure out what those shared principles are.
Yeah, we want to give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut. We're going beyond the surface stuff of the algorithms, the ledgers, the stadium tours, and pulling out these, like, three hidden forces.
Forces that are basically shaping how the new economy gets built.
Yeah.
Understand these, and you get a much clearer picture of where things are headed.
So let's not keep everyone waiting. The core idea, the thing tying AI, blockchain, and Swift mania together. Our sources say it comes down to three things.
Yep. Network effects, ownership, and trust. Those are the pillars. Simple words, but the way they play out is pretty complex. Let's start with the first one, the one that really fuels the growth. Network effects. Okay.
Most things grow linearly, right? Put in 1 unit of effort, get 1 unit back. But these systems, they're different. The value explodes based on who's participating. It multiplies.
It's essentially Metcalfe's law in action, but applied way beyond just, old school telephone networks. The value of the network is proportional to the square of its connected users or participants.
Okay, so how does that actually look practically? For AI, for blockchain, for Swift?
Well, let's take AI first. For a model, the key participants aren't just the end users. They're the data points.
Ah, right. The data itself.
Exactly. Every new piece of information, every new data set you feed it, doesn't just make the AI slightly bigger, it makes it exponentially smarter. The network effect here is data turning into intelligence faster and faster.
Okay. And for something like the metal blockchain, what's the network effect there?
It's all about security and resilience, really. The more validators you have participating in the network, the stronger it gets.
More trustworthy.
Absolutely. More reliable. It becomes incredibly hard for any one person or group to mess with the chain when you have that massive distributed validation network. So participation equals reliability.
Got it. And then there's the cultural angle, the Swifties.
It's a network.
Yeah.
A massive, powerful one.
Oh, so...
Well, think about it. Every fan streaming a song, buying merch, talking online, they're not just adding a tiny bit to her revenue. They're amplifying her cultural presence, her relevance.
Making the whole ecosystem more powerful.
Precisely. The shared experience, the community buzz, it translates directly into massive cultural leverage. It's a network effect, just cultural instead of purely technical.
And that leads to something our sources really hammered home, this idea of community as capital.
Yes, this is crucial. Community engagement, fans, developers, validators. It's not just a nice-to-have metric anymore. It's the actual core asset.
Wait, hang on. Are you saying, like, a fan's enthusiasm or a developer writing some code is literally capital, like money in the bank? That sounds risky, volatile.
It is volatile, but that's the shift. Traditional capital was factories, machines, cash. Now, in this digital decentralized world, the key inputs are often non-monetary.
Like belief, engagement.
Exactly. Belief, engagement, validation. These non-money inputs generate exponential monetary output. That's the game changer.
So a packed stadium, a subnet full of validators, that's not just people showing up, that's the actual financial engine.
It's the asset generating the profit and the stability. It's what the whole system runs on.
Which makes perfect sense why people would fight over controlling it.
Precisely. And because this community capital is so valuable, people fight like mad to control it, which brings us very neatly to our second core force.
Okay, ownership and control. That makes sense as a follow-on. If the network effect relies on participation, people need to feel like they have a stake.
Right, exactly. And Taylor Swift is kind of the perfect example here, just because it was so public.
Her fight for her masters?
She was fighting for ownership of her own digital creations, her original recordings. It was a very clear, very relatable battle over intellectual property.
And our sources say that one fight represents a much bigger trend, right? A systemic shift.
Yeah, a fundamental shift. Power moving away from, say, big centralized companies towards individual creators, artists, developers, even users. They increasingly want to own their work and the platforms it lives on.
Okay. How does that translate to blockchain?
Well, in the crypto and blockchain space, the big term is self-custody.
Self-custody, we hear that a lot. What does it really mean beyond just, holding your own keys?
I mean, at its heart, it's about sovereignty. Total personal control over your digital assets. You are your own bank.
Not relying on a third party.
Exactly. No bank, no intermediary who can freeze your funds or deny access. Self-custody means you own it, you control it, you are the only one who can move it. It's the ultimate decentralized ownership.
Which puts all the power, but also all the risk on the individual.
Absolutely. And then you have AI, which is like the next level of this ownership battle. It's getting even more complicated.
How so?
We're going from owning the rails, like the blockchain itself, or owning existing creations like Swift's masters, to this new fight over who owns something an AI helped create.
Ah, right. If I use an AI tool to make an image, who owns it? Me, the AI company, the artists whose work trained the AI.
Exactly. That's the battleground for the next few years, according to our sources. Ownership applied to automated creation itself. It's a huge question.
But the common thread, the thing linking Swift, blockchain users, and AI prompt engineers.
It's that intense drive, that need for creators to own the underlying infrastructure, the rails of their work, whether those rails are musical notes, lines of code, or financial protocols.
Because if you own the rails, you control the economy built on them. Simple as that.
Pretty much. But
Yeah.
that economy only works, only scales, if everyone involved trusts the system. Which brings us to number 3, trust and traceability.
Yeah, this is like the foundation that stops that volatile community as capital thing from just dissolving into chaos. The more decentralized things get, the more absolutely critical trust becomes.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because you need certainty.
Yeah.
You need to know where something came from, its history, its provenance. Without that,
The whole system risks failure. Transparency becomes everything, especially as we move towards what some sources call an adaptive or programmable economy.
why? Why is transparency so vital there?
Because if things are going to be personalized and automated, you need perfect data integrity. You need to trust the inputs to trust the outputs.
Okay, let's see examples. Swifties again?
Verified tickets. Simple example. They need proof the ticket is real, not a fake, not from a bot. They need provenance for their concert experience. If that trust breaks down, if they get scammed, the network effect weakens. The community capital, their excitement and willingness to spend, it takes a hit.
Exactly. Now apply that to AI. You need transparent data sources. If you're using an AI for something important like medical info or financial advice.
You need to know what it was trained on. Was the data biased? Outdated? Reliable?
Precisely. The lineage, the provenance of the training data is essential for trusting the AI's output.
And then in finance, trust is just table stakes. The metal blockchain, our sources say, uses compliant subnets. Why is that so important?
Well, for regulated institutions like banks or credit unions, they can't just jump onto a completely open, anonymous blockchain. A compliant subnet is sort of a walled garden built on the public chain.
So it's permissioned.
Right. It gives them the speed and security benefits of blockchain, but within a controlled environment where they can meet all the regulatory rules, KYC, AML, all that stuff. It makes decentralized trust compliant.
Okay, so that need for trust, for traceability, that directly enables this idea of adaptive or programmable experiences. What does that actually mean?
It means the underlying thing, whether it's music, information, or money, isn't static. It can change, adapt, respond based on rules or context.
Taylor Swift does this with her eras, right?
Yeah, that's a great example. She structures the fan experience around these distinct phases of her career and her IP. It's like a programmable narrative that
The fan's current experience back to the history, the provenance of her work.
Exactly. And AI, that's kind of the ultimate programmable experience, isn't it?
Adapting in real time.
Yeah, it creates a unique interaction for every single user based on their prompts, their history. It's adaptive intelligence built on verified, hopefully, data.
Okay, so where does metal blockchain fit into this programmability?
It creates programmable money.
Programmable money, what does that look like in practice?
Well, imagine, say, a government grant issued as digital currency. With programmability, you could build rules right into the money itself. Like, this money can only be spent at certified educational suppliers, or maybe only within a specific geographic area, like a school district. The rules are baked into the code.
So you don't need as much bureaucratic oversight after the fact.
Right. The compliance, the validation, happens instantly and automatically because it's embedded in the asset itself. It's trustless validation enforced by code.
That's a huge step, taking trust from theory to, well, highly regulated practice. And this is where our sources got really specific about Metal blockchain's implementation.
Yeah, they didn't just talk concepts. They showed Metal isn't just, for crypto startups. It's actively working to bring this compliant, trust-based tech into traditional finance, TeFi.
They have this banking innovation program designed specifically to help banks and credit unions adopt these new models.
While staying fully compliant. It's about bridging that gap between the old financial world and this new programmable economy.
And the partnerships listed in the source material are serious. These aren't small fringe players.
No, definitely not. The vendors and integrations mentioned, we're talking Fiserv, Temenos, Clover, Jack Henry as a VIP member. These are huge names in financial services technology.
They're basically the plumbing of the existing banking system, so integrating programmable subnets there.
It shows this isn't just a future dream. It's happening now. In banking, one of the most heavily regulated sectors there is.
And they listed actual banking partners too, right? Institutions already using this.
Yeah, names like DECU, Gesa Credit Union, Glendale Area Schools Credit Union, Key Point, Green State Credit Union. These are real institutions managing real people's money, adopting this tech.
That really nails the point, doesn't it? This adaptive, programmable, trust-based economy fueled by community capital, driven by creator ownership. It's not just a Silicon Valley thing. It's being deployed by community banks and credit unions.
When you put it all together, the network effects for growth, ownership for commitment, and verified trust for compliance, you build something robust enough to integrate even with the traditional financial system.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway for you, the listener, from all this?
Well, the sources are pretty clear. The future economy, whether it's driven by pop stars, AI, or DeFi, it really boils down to those three things: network effects, ownership, and trust.
Yeah.
And the power is shifting.
Definitely. The creator, the artist, the developer, the financial innovator who owns their rails and knows how to leverage their community as capital, that's who's building what comes next.
But that idea, community as capital, it still feels a bit fragile, It depends entirely on belief, on engagement.
It does. And that leads to a final, maybe slightly provocative thought from the source material for you to consider.
Okay, let's hear it.
Given that community belief is the capital, what happens to the value of any of these huge systems? A blockchain network, an AI platform, even a global superstars brand, if that core community belief suddenly starts to wobble?
If community is capital, losing faith isn't just bad PR. It's like a run on the bank, an instant devaluation of the very asset that powers the whole thing, which is precisely why securing that system with real ownership and verifiable trust is so absolutely essential. It keeps the network effect engine running.
Something to definitely think about next time you see a new AI breakthrough or hear about a massive tour. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this deep dive.